Hey guys, I thought I'd give you all a post-fast update, and at the same time I thought I'd share with you all a little more personally and in depth why my body got into such a state of disrepair. Aside from having a deadly parasite called Babesia living in my blood for who knows how long, there has been a catalogue of punishing events towards my temple, as I would call it, towards my physical body. And those led me on a decline of terrible health and going down, down, down. And I'm still struggling now with it all. I am a long distance runner. I even use that to define myself, and I haven't been able to run since October. It's forced me into more meditation. It's forced me into getting deeper into my exploration of my own consciousness, I would dare say, actually. But it's still very difficult for me to operate on the same level without it. Now, for my health to go from being able to run marathons to not being able to run, it seems a little dramatic, but let me just tell you all post-fast the benefits I've had. Let me tell you some of the personal aspects of what destroyed my physical health so much over the last years. And let me tell you a funny thing that happens during fasting, an unusual thing, because today I'm going to the dentist, so I think it's a good day of any day to tell you about it. So, living in Tanzania, I have had a few hits health-wise. The big things that stand out, I had malaria 3 times, and each time was pretty intense. The first time I had it, I didn't know what was wrong with me. For 7 days I walked around with stiff joints until a very friendly and large African lady started laughing and said, "You've got malaria." And I thought, why are you laughing? Because I was mortified at the concept that I had malaria. And indeed, I went to the lab and had my blood done, and there I could see the malaria parasites in my blood. And I was treated, the treatment I had was to take the normal medications, such as Malarone, which are quite intense on the liver and quite toxic for the body. However, the second time I had malaria, things were a little bit worse. And I just to say recovered from it, and then I got malaria a 3rd time. Now, during my 3rd bout of malaria, my friend Emmanuel, as many of you know as the Rasta, a very dear friend of mine, one of my closest friends in the world, I would say, actually. We've been through so much together. He saved my life. He literally saved my life. I was treated for malaria, and around about, I'd say, 3 weeks into treatment for malaria, I was still getting fever, I was still getting sick. And he said to me, there's something not right. He said, they can't just keep giving you first line, you get first line defense malaria, 2nd line, 3rd line, start again. And he said, something's really going horribly wrong here, John. And I got to a pinnacle of illness, and I was so weak. I felt like I was dying. I felt like the life force was leaving my body. And we went to a private doctor, and he drew my blood, and indeed I had malaria, but I had typhoid as well. And the combination of the two meant that my body wasn't fighting it off. So the combination of those 2 things at the same time was a huge, and this was like a month of sickness, in and out of bed, still trying to help the kids, still trying to earn the money. And I took the antibiotics for the typhoid, which kills the bacteria inside you, plus the anti-malarials, the parasite dying in your blood. And that was perhaps the most sick I had ever been in my life. And I normally just know the numbers for my family in my head. And I remember I got so sick with fever one night, I stored their numbers, mother, father, brother, in case I died in the night and somebody knew who to call when they found me. That is genuinely how sick I got. And it was a massive crushing blow to my health that really started me in a very slippery slope, and it messed up the homeostasis for my body for a long time. Couple that with the high pressure of what we do, Couple that with the stresses and strains of what we do. Couple that with sometimes the difficulties with the food supplies and so on and so forth. It all just started to slip out of control. I then got amoebiasis. Amoebiasis creates ulcers in your colon, stops you from absorbing nutrients properly. It just messed me up. And when Fritzi first ever met me, I had amoebiasis and I was so grumpy, and I don't know how she managed to fall in love with me, because I shouted at her one day for waking me up. She'd only come in to say good morning after she wasn't staying where I was staying. She was staying down somewhere, and she came up and woke me up, and I shouted at her. And it was just horrible. I had fever, stomach pain. So all of these problems set me on this slippery slope. And I never used to praise Western medicine, but for all of those people who are anti-big pharma, you've not had malaria and typhoid and amoebiasis, because you could offer me all the herbs and homeopathics in the world. They are not scientifically proven to work as fast as these life-saving drugs. And if any of my children, any whatsoever, anyone I love, if ever they get malaria, I'll put them straight on the Western medication, because the locals have all of the herbal medicine in the world you can think of. The Maasai, I'm going to do videos on the Maasai medicine and the plant medicines and the importance of knowing that knowledge. But when it comes to malaria, they all want the Western drug because it's guaranteed to get rid of that parasite. And whereas the herbs, sometimes they just don't work and you die. And you feel it. You feel this thing killing you. You actually feel it. Your life every day is dripping away from you. And when you take that tablet, they die in your blood. You feel like crap for the first 2 days, and then you start to feel better. So I praise Western medication for saving my life on those occasions. Definitely needs work, but I'm not anti, because I've had and I live in a place where it's needed. That's why I'm very on the fence with the whole anti-vaccine thing. I've got so many children in my care who were disabled because they weren't vaccinated, because they had polio, because they had yellow fever. And in the West, where these things are not around, we say, but that's fine. But we're completely wrong. Just look to the Western medical journals of people who had their faces eaten by syphilis and tell them that antibiotics are terrible for you. There's always a time and a place for the blessings of medicine, and Western medicine has its spot inside those blessings. I went off on a tangent. So that was a huge hit on my body. Now, on top of that, you've got the vomiting blood, the weeds, viruses. I was once taken with a tropical virus that no one identified after having a high fever for 11 days. 11 days. In the middle of the night, my staff took me to the hospital. And that, again, is a huge hit for your body. All of this constant barrage. Now, this weakened me, but I was still able to run and so on and so forth. But this babesia that got into my bloodstream from either a mosquito bite or a tick bite, one of the two, this really started me on the horrible downward, down, because I was already having malabsorption issues. I had blastocitis as well, which I've eradicated using the water fast. Your organism is very big. It can survive a long time without food. Little bacteria, protozoas, they can't. Parasites, worms, they can't. They die when they don't have food and they don't have the calories coming in. So the babesia you can't kill outright because it lives in your red blood cells. If you kill them, you kill all your red blood cells and you die. So it's a slow, progressive thing to overcome. Now, I'm still weak from time to time with the babesia. If I do too much, I get weak. I definitely can't run because I get a thing called post-exertion malaise, which means if I exert myself too much, I get like a flu, and then I get sick and I have to stay perfectly still until it passes. It's really horrible, and it's a symptom of myalgic encephalitis, chronic fatigue syndrome, but it's much less than it was before I started fasting. And I can do much more than before I started fasting. The other problem I have is systemic fungus. This is because my flora was out of balance and because my immune system has been busy constantly fighting this babesia. Then unfortunately, I've had that problem arise as well. I'm using herbs for that. So that's a long journey of healing that I've ended up going on after many years of destruction that the universe placed upon my temple, but this is many people say, oh, how can someone who's serving God go through so much? Because I believe, and now I'm just voicing an opinion and a belief here, which is probably not relevant, as I always say, but in my experience at least, when you do serve, then something tries to stop you. Something always tries to stop you when you're really serving. When you're taking away suffering from people, you're taking away energy from a certain spectrum of energy. And that energy, I think, retaliates and uses its shitty little beings that it has control of to try and bring you down. Parasites and heartless life forms, in my experience, such as snakes and scorpions and all things poisonous that kill your dogs or can attack your children or sting your children and so on and so forth. They just seem to show up when that vibration comes down a bit in the area and we've got a tragedy. These weird things occur, and I think parasites I'd include in there. So, I'm still fighting babesia. I still have a lot of pain. For my pain, I use, can you see that? I use CBD. CBD oil is cannabis oil, of course. It doesn't make you high. It's got no THC in it. It goes into your endocrine system and rebalances homeostasis. This stuff's amazing. I won't take painkillers. I'll just never ever take painkillers. I literally went to take painkillers, and the second I was with Fritzy, she couldn't believe it. The second I put them in my mouth, I got a Facebook message from a random person about the dangers of paracetamol. And I knew, I'm not doing that route. I'm going to carry on, because I never ever use these things. I never use painkillers, but this I swear by. If you have any fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue problems, first of all, you should be water fasting. Second of all, you should be going on a whole food, plant-based diet. Ideally, vegetable juice or fruit juice fast if you can't water fast as well. That pain will go away. But if, until you can get on to doing that fast, you want some relief, get some of this. This is from a UK company. You can get good ones, but this is a good one from a good company in England. So I swear by it. It helps me to relax if I have muscle pain, so on and so forth. Muscle pain's not so bad at all. I haven't had the leg pains like I had before, which is the main symptom of babesia. But I do get the fatigue and I do get post-exertion malaise because my body's still trying to recover from it all. It's just been an onslaught and a lack of sleep and everything, like I say. And then the emotional traumas, as you all know. I mean, I know doctors and nurses, and I respect them immensely, that they must go through this. See people dying all of the time, but I think it's, and for all parents who have lost anybody or brothers and sisters or anybody who's lost anyone close to them, I think the barrage of losing children who every night you go to say goodnight to them, perhaps you sing a song with them, you play with them, you've seen them smile for the first time, you've seen them laugh for the first time, and then they die. That has a huge impact on your health, a huge impact on your health. So all of these things have just worn me down. And the fasting has restored me, it's brought me up to a new level. But let me tell you one last little thing that I wanted to tell you about this anecdotal thing. When you're fasting, if you have tooth decay, your body will spit out that tooth. Now, I have had, from being a child, 3 teeth like this. And because of it, food goes in the gap, in the middle. And this started causing problems. I had a water pick to clean them, like a jet of water. But when I got to Tanzania, a rat ate my water pick. And I could no longer use it properly. And you can't clean in a set of teeth like that. It doesn't matter, a toothpick, anything, it doesn't work. You can't clean it properly. So I got decay. And I went to see a UK dentist that I always see on the NHS. Not the greatest dentist in the world, to be perfectly honest. Everyone thinks it's great that we get free healthcare in England with the NHS. But I don't think I think it's great that it's free, of course. But at the same time, I see that it's much higher standard in Germany than it is in England. So he drilled my tooth and filled it, and it created so much pain. I flew from England to Germany, and 2 days after I got to Germany, I went and saw another dentist, and she took the filling out, and she gave me a root canal. Now, I don't like the idea of fillings and root canals because of the problems they cause. But when she gave me a root canal, she also had to fill the other tooth that had decayed as well. That seemed okay for a while, but as time progressed, I went to a dentist again in England and I said, hey, I'm having some trouble down here with this tooth that had a root canal. And I went to Africa and I didn't have time to get it done, and you can't get root canals done in Africa, in Tanzania. What do I do? And he said, I should really just take that out. And I said, well, I'm flying in 2 days. Can you do it now? And the answer was no, because I'll need to put you to sleep because I have to cut the gum. And so I sacrificed again my teeth and flew to Africa. And whilst I was there, I wished I had my CBD back then, let's put it that way. It began to hurt a lot. And I saw that dentist. He said, look, next time you're home, come and get them pulled out. But next time I was home, I was fighting babesia, and we decided that pulling them out would be a bad idea. However, whilst I was fasting, I said to Fritzy, something feels funny in this area. And at the end of the first 2 weeks of fasting, the whole of every aspect, you've got this thing, 3 teeth have got a filling through the middle of this amalgam filling? The metal mercury stuff that shouldn't be in your mouth. And my body spat it out, and I literally had the lump in my hand after 2 weeks of fasting. My body rejected it and said, don't want that in there, and spat it out. It got rid of it. But this left the teeth there with some decay. And then over the course of the next 2 weeks of fasting, all that decayed stuff was rejected by my body as well and came out. And now I'm left with 3 teeth, one with a root canal, which I want out because I figure if it's got a root canal, it's got mercury, and it's just, I don't want it in my mouth. I don't want it in my body. The other one, I think might be able to be saved, but the other one, I suspect will need to come out because there is decay in there as well. So there's a chance that I'm having 2 teeth taken out today. And if I left it longer and I fasted, my body would get rid of them. I know it would. But I want them gone. I don't want a dead part of my body inside me. From all the research I've read, having root canals is not a good option. Leaving a dead piece of your body just is a breeding ground for bacteria, and you don't want that. Not if you're dealing with the health problems and trying to recover your body as best you can, as I have been. So you might see down here, someone mentioned the other day that they spotted something. You might see a gap appear, and that's because I'm heading off to the dentist to possibly have a tooth pulled today or whenever they decide that I should have it done. So that is why my health went down. But now post fast, I'm 70% better than what I was. Let's put it that way. My stomach is 100% better, 100%. So I just now need to tackle the problem I'm having with fungus. Ideally, if you want to deal with fungal problems, 21-day water fast will sort it out. But with me, my body has been too weak. It's been too weak to rebalance it, so I'm using certain herbs, powder argo and stuff like this. So yeah, little update for you all. Those are some of the reasons why my body's a mess, and a little personal insight into the hits that I've taken over the years living in the bush in Tanzania doing what I do. It hasn't always been, a story of devotion and relentless beautiful service to God, because believe me, there has been many a morning and many a night where I've been cursing the day that I ever saw 11/11 and bothered listening to God going to Africa, because when your teeth are hurting and you've got malaria and you've got another parasite in your body, I can laugh about it now, but believe me, there are times where a smile is not the facial expression that these problems produce, shall we say. So, okay. Lots of love, guys, and I'll see you after the dentist, I guess. Bye. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, as it really helps us to grow the channel and with it help more children here in Tanzania. Also, don't forget you can support our work by sharing with children in crisis here, be it sharing for a particular need or even sharing one-on-one support for education, housing, food and medical care. It can be done for as little as the cost of a cup of coffee a week back in the West, after all. Just visit www.sharetanzania.co.uk to find out more. Lastly, remember you can also support us via Patreon. www.patreon.com/featherstail and help keep us here in Tanzania to continue our work. The links for the website and for the Patreon are in the description box of this video. Love and light, guys. See you soon.